What do you think of Walt Disney? The company itself has garnered a rather bad reputation recently, but if you're my age, you probably grew up with the classics that everyone knows about. Because of all the stuff going on in the world, I thought I'd make a related topic. For you to understand the backstory behind today's theme, we first need to go over some history. Disney has been a prominent company in the motion picture industry since 1923 and has impacted our culture with many of its animated films. They were all divided into different periods. The first period of Disney was its golden age, which started with the first movie Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1938. Other classics such as Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, and Bambi became a part of that era, which lasted until the end of World War II. Disney had made some movies during that period, but they were never really famous. After the war's end, came the Silver Age of Disney, where movies such as Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, Sleeping Beauty, 101 Dalmatians, The Sword and the Stone, and The Jungle Book all came out. This lasted until 1966 when Walt Disney himself died and management shifted to an amateur. At this time, Disney entered the Dark Ages, and they were called the Dark Ages for a reason, as they made movies on stuff that many wouldn't exactly deem family friendly today. For example, in the 1977 movie The Rescuers gave off a nihilistic version of the world through themes of orphandom and despair. There was also the 1985 movie The Black Cauldron, which is surprising that it's even considered a children's movie. It had a dark fantasy theme with rather horrifying images, a lot of things that children really shouldn't watch. The movie cost $44 million to make, but it made only $21 million at the box office. For a while, it looked like Disney would go under because they were losing money. A lot of their staff, including Don Bluth, left the company, and its competitors were doing much better. That, however, changed in 1989 when Disney began its Renaissance phase with the movie The Little Mermaid. This movie was relatively family friendly, and for the first time in decades, it featured Disney princesses and sing-alongs. A lot of these topics were repeated in additional movies in this era, such as Aladdin, The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, and so on. This era basically saved Walt Disney, and it completely revolutionized the entertainment industry for young children. Now, you're probably wondering, what does that have to do with the title of this video? Well, for years, the popular misconception had been that no movie in any phase, not a single one, showed black people in their movies.
But don't you think it's strange it took until 2009 for Disney to finally have an African American princess? We had an African American president first. Still, she spent most of the film looking like a frog.
Yeah, but the movie was hailed by critics for not only starring a black princess not based on stereotypes, but for celebrating interracial relationships by making Tiana's love interest the first South American prince, Naveen.
Oh yeah, and about Naveen, what made up part of the world is he from again?
The last classic movies were The Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis the Lost Empire, and Lilo and Stitch. After that, Disney was looking to new technologies in order to take on its competitors at DreamWorks and Fox. Between 2002 and 2008, the notion that there were no black people in Disney animated movies raged on, and the social justice masses pushed on their tirades about systematic racism in the film industry. But animated Disney films made a revival in 2009, and the company gave in to the cries of its now adult fans, which were children during the Renaissance phase. The Princess and the Frog was released on December 11th, 2009. This movie saw lots of marketing and also answered the nostalgia cry because it included Disney's traditional animation. The film was also branded as the first Disney movie to not only have black people in it, but also have a black princess to add to the Disney collection. But the point of this video is to take a big swing at that claim and show the far-left masses that they were wrong in the mid-2000s. That's because the folks in The Princess and the Frog were not the first black people in Disney animation. The first Disney movie to feature black people was the 2000 movie American Legends. This movie was narrated by James Earl Jones, and it told the stories of multiple American folk legends, such as Casey Jones, Paul Bunyan, Johnny Appleseed, and for the topic of this video, John Henry. If anyone doesn't know, John Henry is a hero in American folklore. He is a person who worked on the U.S.'s railway system in the mid-19th century. This was a time when machines were entering many industries and replacing multiple jobs. The legend itself explains that John Henry took part in a race against a steam-powered rock drilling machine at the Big Bend Tunnel. In doing so, he actually won, beating the machine and proving that human workers are better at work than machines, thus saving all these people's jobs. This was dramatized in the 2000 Disney John Henry movie, and it depicts his life as well as the competition against the machine. Unfortunately, the movie did not get the audience it deserved. American Legends was a direct-to-DVD release, and it was overshadowed by the theatrical success of The Emperor's New Groove. Yet it is still a good Disney movie, and it is such a shame that the masses that claim to uplift African Americans completely ignored a movie that depicted the life of an American folklore hero. They really need to check out this movie then. Furthermore, The Princess and the Frog wasn't even the second movie to portray black people, as that title goes to another movie that I mentioned earlier, and that is Atlantis the Lost Empire, where Dr. Sweet is actually an African American. Like, how do they not miss this? And let me also point out that The Princess and the Frog doesn't even get the third spot either, as that goes to another movie that I mentioned, Lilo and Stitch, where a character by the name of Cobra Bubbles makes a prominent appearance. He's even voiced by actor Ving Rhames. Seriously, how come no one has ever pointed out these movies? They're both beloved motion pictures with a cult following. I repeat, how could they just ignore them? I mean, Cobra himself even appears in the sequel Stitch, the movie, and the TV series that aired on the Disney Channel. But regardless about how you feel about the debate on bringing diversity to Disney movies, it's clear to point out that all these people who complained about systematic racism in movies were pretty much wrong. They only need to look a little deeper into the history of the franchise. Children's movies should never be about that, but rather they should just focus on entertaining children with regular kids stuff. Now that Disney has entered this discussion, I feel, the desire to rewatch some old Disney classic movies.